Welcome to the channel. Today we're looking at a super cute Christmas tree ornament where all the profits from the sales go to local charity from the team at Apollo Automations. Nice work, guys. So let's quickly look at what we get and how we can set this up, and more importantly, how we can order one of these for yourself and maybe some loved ones and support a good cause. Firstly, you can purchase the H1 for $14.99 US plus shipping. But as this is for a charity, that's for tier 1. But you can also donate by clicking on tier 2 for $19.99 or tier 3 for $29.99, hence donating more to charity. The H1 is 90mm tall by 70mm wide, with a thread hole at the top of the tree to allow it to be hung. On the front of the PCB are 23 RGB LEDs that can be pre-programmed to illuminate in sequence. On the back of the unit is where the magic happens. At the top is a QR code that takes you to a year summary for Apollo Automations, and the boys have come a long way in a very short period of time. Well done. Then comes a battery holder for a CR123A or LC16340 rechargeable battery. Yes, that's a rechargeable battery. Apparently it must be rechargeable due to the voltage output. When you pick one of these up, make sure also to pick up a recharger for the battery, as there is no recharging circuitry on the H1 itself. Below this you get an ESP32C3 mini chip to handle the processing, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, a piezo buzzer to play tunes, and 3 buttons. The leftmost button, labelled S1, is to allow you to switch between modes. Then there is a boot button, labelled Boot 1, that you will use to pair the device. And finally a reset button labelled RST1 that you will hopefully never have to press, but is documented in the Apollo wiki. Now before we start the installation process, we're going to need a few things. You must have a Chromium-based browser such as Chrome or Edge. I'll be using Chrome. Also, you must have a USB-C cable that can carry data as well as power. First off, take the battery out, as we'll be upgrading the firmware via the USB port. Now plug in the USB cable into your computer. From the H1 store page, press the link for the ESP flasher page, or open the link in the description. Hold the boot button. Insert the USB cable. Now you can release the boot button. Now you can flash with 2 different firmware options. The first is a smart Wi-Fi firmware that we'll be using, as we want to be able to control within Home Assistant. Or you can choose to flash with a no Wi-Fi firmware, so you'll be able to simply control with the button on the H1. Press the Connect underneath Smart Wi-Fi Firmware. Select the USB J tag. Press Connect. When the pop-up window appears, press Install Apollo H1. At the confirmation screen, press Install. The installation should take about a minute. Press Next and close out of the window. Now that we have installed the firmware, let's move across to Home Assistant. Inside of Home Assistant, you will have noticed that a new notification has appeared. If not, then you might need to restart Home Assistant or restart your H1. Navigate to Notifications. Now select Check It Out. You might not have seen this before. This is the Improv by BLE, which is a simplified installation that uses Bluetooth to pass credentials. But if you don't have Bluetooth or it's not configured, then don't worry, as ESP will revert back to the tried and tested way of connecting. Now press Add. Confirm that you want to set up the Apollo H1 and press Submit. Enter your Wi-Fi credentials for your 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi and press Submit. The H1 will report back that it is successfully connected to your home Wi-Fi. Now press Close. Now follow through by adding your ESP32 device to your Home Assistant. Press Add. Confirm that you want to add the Apollo H1 to Home Assistant. Press Submit. Optionally give it an area and press Finish. Now let's go and look at the entities that are exposed. Under the ESP Home, press the Devices link. Now select the Apollo H1. In Controls, you have a toggle switch to be able to turn on and off the LEDs. Press and hold the RGB light. Here you can turn on and off the light, adjust the intensity of the LEDs, select whatever color you wish the LEDs to be, or select from the predefined colors. Under this is the volume for the piezo dielectric buzzer. In sensors, you can see the battery levels and the battery voltage, which are unknown. This is because we are running from USB. However, if we insert a battery and remove the USB plug, the battery levels and voltage appear. In configuration, we can see that the firmware is up to date, since we just flashed it with the latest version. There is a toggle to prevent the H1 going to sleep, also a sleep duration, which I can't find any documentation on, but assume it's the amount of time that the H1 will sleep for in 24-hour period. Then you have two predetermined tune sequences for when you double press and long press. These come defaulted to 1 press for Sleigh Bells, which you cannot change, 2 for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and 3 for Let It Snow. Now if you want these tunes to play through automations, that's also possible. Navigate to Developer Tools, Actions on the top line, clear out the action by using the X on the right hand side. In Actions, type H_1. This will bring up all the actions that you can perform with the H1. The first action is to play the buzzer, which does not work, well at least not yet. The next 3 actions are to play songs 1 to 3, which emulate the pressing of the button for Sleigh Bells, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and Let It Snow. So you can include these into any automation you like. I'm sure that people will be able to program the buzzer and the lights, and if I see how to do this, I'll include this into the description. So the Apollo Automation H1. Should you consider it, skip it, or go ahead and buy it? It's really cute. Yes, it has its failings, like only working with rechargeable batteries that can't be recharged from the device, and that you can't easily program the LEDs. But yes, you should buy it. And buy a few more while you're there for your family and friends. And when the 2025 version comes out, you should buy those also. Charity begins at home, so why not a smart home? Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, then hit that like button, comment and share. And if you want access to similar material, then subscribe or maybe become a member and get early access to similar material. And if I've helped you make a purchasing decision, then don't buy me a coffee. Instead, give the money to your local charity. I know that they'll really appreciate it. Until the next one.